chain of disaster is now complete.
Have you ever been curious as to what Chernobyl is like today? Years after the nuclear accident, we can still see effects of radiation on the environment and life surrounding Chernobyl. From abandoned hospitals to radioactive puppies, let's check out the 10 weirdest things ever found in Chernobyl. Now, let us start the countdown. Here's number 10. Radioactive wildlife. Even though Chernobyl is the worst nuclear disaster to ever occur, a plethora of wildlife and animals have found a way to live in a radioactive environment. Many animals can be found thriving in the Chernobyl exclusion zone. The Chernobyl exclusion zone is a 30-mile radius around the Chernobyl power plant. It was declared too dangerous for humans to inhabit after a nuclear reactor exploded. Although typical animals such as red foxes and deer have been spotted in the exclusion zone, other animals such as wild dogs have been seen playing at the abandoned power plant. It makes you wonder, how can these animals survive in this environment but humans cannot? Number 9. Tourists and people. Speaking of radioactive life, the next on our list is tourists. Yes, people still visit the radioactive exclusion zone until this day. It is estimated that around 10,000 to 12,000 people visit the exclusion zone every year. In fact, some hotels outside of the exclusion zone required guests to leave their shoes and personal belongings outside of the hotel room as they're considered radioactive. It should be mentioned that most tour groups take passengers when radiation readings are not as severe, but there is still that curiosity factor that leads people deep into the exclusion zone. Number 8. An old classroom filled with gas masks. Did anyone forget a gas mask? Don't worry, because an old classroom filled with gas masks is number 8 on our list. Middle school number 3 is one of the 5 elementary schools in Pripyat. If you think about it, you might think that these gas masks were used by students or teachers when the nuclear disaster happened. However, that is not the case. These gas masks were in storage at the school when the incident happened, meaning that they were never used by the kids or teachers. Number 7. Painted ghosts of Chernobyl. Now, don't get me wrong, when people pass away, especially so suddenly and tragic, we want to honor them in the best way that we can. However, people have taken to painting the ghosts of those that lost their lives from the Chernobyl accident on buildings, walls, and sidewalks. These painted ghosts are dark in silhouette and give off a seriously weird and creepy vibe. Of course, it's just the city of Pripyat and its history that is ominous. Number 6. Creepy dolls. Dolls left behind by children are the silent witnesses of this deadly event. When the first reactor exploded, the residents of Pripyat were almost immediately evacuated. So where do all these weird dolls come into play? Well, most people thought that they were going to come back home to Pripyat, so they left a lot of stuff behind, including their children's toys and dolls. Because of the radiation eating away at these dolls for years, their appearance is even more weird and creepy. Number 5. Abandoned hospital. Landing at number 5 on our list is the abandoned hospital of Pripyat. Now, by now, you've caught on that most of Pripyat has been abandoned, but the Pripyat City Hospital is especially creepy because of the history it holds. This is where most of the first responders and workers were initially treated. While a majority of them unfortunately died within months, their radioactive clothes still remain in the basement of the hospital, as they were considered too dangerous to move. Number 4. Red Forest. The Red Forest is an area of about 4 square miles surrounding the Chernobyl power plant. Although it might look vibrant and bright, do not let the red color fool you. The nickname Red Forest came after hundreds of trees died following a high level of radiation absorption, resulting in a reddish ginger color. To this day, the forest is considered unsafe and dangerous. As a matter of fact, during the 2022 invasion of Ukraine, multiple soldiers that traveled through the Red Forest suffered from radiation sickness. Number 3. Radioactive fish? Just like everything else in Pripyat, the fish have also faced the consequences of radioactivity. In one of Chernobyl's cooling ponds, tourists flocked to observe giant, mutated fish going about their way. In one particular instance, a giant catfish that measured 5 feet 4 inches was caught. Keep in mind, that's about the size of the average human being. Number 2. Abandoned carnival. Before we discuss the number 1 weirdest thing in Chernobyl, the abandoned carnival follows it. Pripyat Amusement Park never even got to see the time of day, as the initial blast took place just weeks before the park was due to open. The park had a variety of games and rides those residents never got to experience, including a Ferris wheel. The Ferris wheel still stands until this day as a symbol of happiness and hope that the residents of Pripyat had prior to the Chernobyl incident. Number 1. The elephant's foot. And last but not least, the weirdest thing ever found in Chernobyl. Now, I know what you're thinking, and no, it's not an actual elephant's foot. After the Chernobyl incident in 1986, a massive pile of corium and other toxic elements was uncovered, earning the nickname elephant's foot. The elephant's foot was discovered about 8 months after the initial disaster and is considered one of the most dangerous objects in the world because of the extreme amount of radiation coming from it. When the mass was first discovered, the amount of radiation was so high that if someone were to stand in front of it for more than 5 minutes, it was thought to be lethal. Considering the fact that even after 4 decades the elephant's foot is still highly radioactive and dangerous, this is definitely the weirdest thing ever discovered in Chernobyl. So there you have it, the weirdest things ever found in Chernobyl. Would you ever be willing to visit and see the creepy dolls or mutated wildlife? Comment below. And don't forget to check out our other amazing videos on the left and right side of your screen. See ya!